Right. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Directors for Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District for November 14th, 2024. We are going to start with some announcements. If you would like to view these processions at a later time, please look at the agenda for all of the details relative to that. We'll call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Director Sailors.
Present.
Director Weber.
Here.
Director Sheets.
Here.
Director Gould.
Here.
Director Wood.
Present.
Director Rice, he's absent. Director Costa
Here.
and Director Jones and Director Clark are both absent this evening, and they let me know. Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. As it would be appropriate, I'd like to ask Director Sheets to lead us in a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ma'am. We'll now move on to public opportunity to discuss items of public interest that are on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have a speaker card?
I do have a speaker card from Derek Sheets.
That's me.
This where I talk? You don't leave a little spot for a little speech. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. Some of you know me. My name is Derek Sheets. Jennifer Sheets' husband, a firefighter here at Metro Fire and a resident of Fair Oaks. I came here tonight to honor my wife's commitment and service over the past 8 years to her community and Metro Fire. Before I get started, I'd like to thank a few individuals who were extremely helpful in my wife's success over the past 8 years. Each one of you was there during her difficult times, keeping her calm, guiding her, and listening to her viewpoints without judgment. Thank you, Trevor Jameson, Ty Bailey, Sean Scollard, Brian Rice, Jim Barnes, Grant Gould, and most importantly, Melissa Pania. Now to the reason why I'm here, to honor my wife. Early on in my career, a captain asked me how I was going to make this fire department better and leave my mark. My answer was vague at the time because I thought I was leaving my mark. I thought I was making this fire department better by being a good employee and helping the public. I quickly realized what he meant, so I got more involved in special programs, mentored new medics and firefighters, and taught at fire academies. But little did I know my greatest contribution to Metro Fire would be marrying Jennifer. 8 years ago, she took on this incredible challenge at my request. She took it extremely seriously, as she should. However, this challenge did not come without its frustrations. She had to learn the position, so she took on every leadership role she could. She joined all the committees, sat in all the executive seats, visited fire stations regularly, and spent every other Thursday at meetings, multiple weekends for specialty meetings, and visited constituents upon request, and on and on. She did all this while working a full-time job, getting her master's degree, taking 3 promotions, raising 3 amazing daughters, and taking care of her ailing father post-stroke by moving into our house. With all that, she didn't shy away from what needed to be done as a board of directors. We sat up multiple nights, post-board meetings, post-contract ratifications, and during COVID, trying to figure out how to make this department a better place for the members, as well as give top quality service to the public, all while treading the water of doing the right thing for everybody. During the past 8 years, we've had arguments with each other, fractured friendships, and lost quality time together and with our daughters. But Jennifer understood that success comes with sacrifices, and that this is the position that we chose to put ourselves in an attempt to make this department a better place for all. She never hung up her towel because it got too hard, or because people at the firehouse kitchen tables or the offices of this building would question her course of action. She operated from a place of integrity and knew that her mission was to leave this department and this community in a better place when she arrived. Wife, you've done just that. You're an absolute inspiration to me, an incredible role model, an example of a strong woman for our daughters. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for everyone in this department, and more importantly, for this community. You're a true public servant. Like I always say to you, you're the mast that sees this family through the storms of life. Thank you for your service, and I love you.
You know, if I had the opportunity, we'd just close the shop and go home. Now, was incredible. Thank you, Derek. That was really wonderful. I'd like to see more of that. Do we have any speaker cards online, or do we have any other members of the public that would like to address the board?
Anyone else in the room that wishes to address the board, or if you are watching on Zoom, you can use the raise your hand feature to make a public comment.
It's perfectly fine if you feel like you'd like to do a roast. I'm all over that.
No additional public
All right,
comments.
a
Thank
little
you.
later. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. We'll move on to consent items. And we'll entertain a motion for consent, please. It's going to have to be one of you guys. All right. Ted,
Second.
we got a first
Got it.
Second.
and it's the second and the third. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Please call the roll.
Yes, Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Weber,
Aye.
Director Sheets. Aye. President Gould.
Aye.
Director Wood.
Aye.
Director Costa.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. We have 2 action items tonight, and I'm going to exercise executive privilege. We will not be addressing item number 2 until the end of the meeting, only because that's really the more appropriate place to put that in my mind. So we're going to go with action item number 1, adopt resolution 2024, response standards and service level objectives. A very lengthy document. So well done. It's incredible. Who's going to lead the show on this one? I've got no name. Chief Mitchell?
Hi, thank you, Director. Adam Mitchell, Deputy Chief Operations. I'm going to quickly turn it over to Jake Whelan, who will start us off, and Aaron Castleberry in the back, and then I'll step in towards the end.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Mitchell. Good evening, President Gould, members of the board, Chief Bailey, Jake Whelan, here with my colleague, Aaron Castleberry, and Deputy Chief Adam Mitchell. Collaboration tonight between Operations Branch and Planning and Development. We are pleased to present on our 2024 Standards of Cover study. Very proud of it. Without further ado, let's jump in. Promise I know how to use this. Awesome. As you know, the 2020 Board Strategic Plan identified service delivery as a key strategy to carrying out the mission of Metro Fire, with initiatives focused on best practices, administrative coordination, sustainability, and accreditation. With this strategy in mind, the board adopted the Standards of Cover policy last year, which requires the annual preparation of a Standards of Cover study in order to evaluate the district's performance as it relates to the district's adopted response standards and objectives. The purpose of the Standards of Cover study, as outlined in this policy, is to examine our understanding of the community we serve, the risks that we face, and the services that we provide in order to support strategic decision-making at Metro Fire. In accordance with the Standards of Cover policy, we are happy to present the 2024 Standards of Cover study, which provides a year in review of the service that we provided in calendar year 2023. During the preparation of last year's study, we would often comment on how much easier year 2 is going to be once we got through year 1. We definitely felt that this year with no more evident of an example as to our data processing and analysis. Our single biggest challenge in preparing last year's study was extracting and compiling the data that we would need through a variety of sources. What took months and months of what took months and months of work last year to define all of that data, to clean it, to bring it together, to perform quality assurance checks on it, we were able to do in a matter of weeks this year. And that was because we were able to automate certain processes last year and put in the work last year so that we can make our lives easier when we came around to year 2. In total, the Standards of Cover uses more than 10 different data sources to make thousands of single calculations that spit out millions of numbers that get rolled up into this study that we will use. Aaron will now give you an overview of what's new in 2024.
Thanks, Jake. Hello, everyone. So the Standards of Cover policy does outline how the study should be updated, with demographic data being updated every 5 years, while performance metrics and growth data being updated on an annual basis. So as Jake mentioned, this study looks back to our calendar year 2023 performance. So the biggest update for this year's study is that all of the call volume incident information has all been updated, of course, to reflect 2023. including operational changes that were made in 2023 with resource movement and added capacity, as well as incident and performance data. However, we did make some additional enhancements to this year's study. So we're going to go over a couple of what those things are. So in section 1, in our community baselines, we did go through all of our growth projects and looked for updates on those. So you'll be able to see some status updates on projects in our growth areas. In section 2, we updated the battalion and station risk assessments to reflect updated values at risk, which is done through the property tax rolls, property risk indicators, and call volume. We also included a comparative analysis on that, on the battalion and station risk profiles to show how the call volume compared to the prior year's call volume. In section 3, we updated risk categories to reflect changes that were made last year in critical task capabilities and ERF, specifically around some water rescue items and EMS items. So there's some updates there. Section 4 has some new proposed response standards, which we'll talk about a little later. In section 5, we've made a lot of updates in section 5. We've incorporated a comparative analysis of response standard determination between 2022 and 2023. We have a concentration study that now considers the availability of automatic aid resources in that determination, as opposed to just our own resources. And also the growth plan and new service projections have been updated to reflect the progress of development and absorption over the past year. In section 6, we added a comparative performance analysis over the prior year, so you can see where we have made improvements. So while we may not meet our standard, you'll be able to see we have made an improvement since the last year. So there's a comparative analysis there. And then we've also added a response time performance summary. There's a large section that kind of goes over response time for a whole bunch of different risk types. And at the end of that, we added sort of a one-page summary that kind of brings it all together and shows where changes have been made in the positive and negative. And then in section 7, we added a recap of our continuous improvement efforts. Chief Mitchell's going to talk about that in a moment, and added focus areas for the coming year. Another thing we added this year was an executive overview by Chief Mitchell and Jeff that provided sort of a leader's intent on the standards of cover document and how that feeds into the process. So that's what's new for 2024. So there we go, to our summary of findings. We're going to sort of generalize our findings here. We have a pretty robust list of findings that is summarized in section 7 and at the end of each section that you can look at. Some findings, including mostly from sections 2 and 3, are more informative in nature and don't necessarily require action, but they are to inform. So some of the notable findings in section 2 and 3 are that we do now have our first due population density of 10,000 per square mile. That is Station 41. We also see that there was a 22% increase in the values at risk district-wide over the prior year, which now totals 89 billion district-wide. And we also saw a relatively flat increase in call volume. However, the calls related to the unhoused population grew by 9%. So that was section 2 and 3. Section 4 findings on standards, goals, and objectives recognize recommended changes that are needed in our adopted service level objectives in order to reflect changes that are occurring throughout the district and refine how we measure our performance in consideration of those changes. So these recommendations do require action, which is going to be discussed here shortly and is the recommended action tonight. So section 5 findings on service delivery revolve around how continued population growth throughout the district contributes to ongoing response coverage and capacity challenges. Data introduced in this section will be used to develop strategic solutions that balance existing and future service needs with financial feasibility. So some of the findings in section 5 are that we saw some pretty large population increases in station 68 and 26 first dues. We anticipate that station 26 will be our next metropolitan standard at 10,000 per square mile as early as next year, based on current population growth. We did see that our ERF capabilities were improved when auto aid resources were included in our concentration study. We did not identify any new first due gaps. So the 12 that were identified last year remain. They are the same 12 this year. However, we did note that those gaps are largely mitigated by planned new stations and station relocation projects that we already know about. So that's noted in the study. And in section 5, also with regard to the timing of new service, at the end of section 5, there were no changes noted to the anticipated timing of new service for this year. Section 6 findings that are identified through the performance evaluation generally reveal that we have challenges in urban and dense urban areas. And however, changes that we made in 2023 in service delivery have resulted in some positive improvements over the prior year. So some notable findings from section 6 include that we still have challenges, obviously, in urban and dense urban areas. But we did see an increase in reliability and a decrease in time on task district-wide on average. So the number of stations that now meet targeted reliability of 90% nearly doubled over the past year. So that's good news. And there was a 2% reduction in medic time on task in the number of medics exceeding our targeted 30%. So what do we do with all these findings? Chief Mitchell is going to outline how we use the standards of cover as a framework for continuous improvement.
Thank you. I'll try not to hit anybody with the laser. So yeah, I'm going to focus on the last section, section 7, about the summary of findings and the recommendations and how it fits into the bigger picture of our process per the policy of our strategic plan also. So first off, continuous improvement is one of the pillars of the Metro Way and represents an attitude of striving to be better, which we always want to be doing. Our intent for the standards of cover that Aaron mentioned is not for it to just be a document that sits on the shelf, but it's a call to action. It tells us what we need to do and we need to start doing something about it. So this means taking the findings and recommendations from the standards of cover and doing the work to examine what better looks like. This ongoing effort can be broken down into the 4 main components you see in front of you there. So the first one, findings in the standards of cover point to improvements needed in data management and integration. And since data analysis is specifically called out in the board strategic plan, this was one of our areas of focus over the past year. And we're going to continue to dig into this one even deeper to figure out where we can do even better than we've done. You heard Jake talk about some of the things that were better this year. We're not there yet. It is better, but we've got some space where we can continue to get there. Better info in means better info out and a stronger standards of cover to help us in our annual process. Findings of the service delivery analysis and performance evaluation found in section 5 and 6 that Aaron just talked about provide a framework for identifying opportunities for improvement related to performance analysis and service innovation. Using data to develop tailored strategies that mitigate identified service delivery challenges continues to be a priority in our continuous improvement efforts. And I'm happy to report that even as of this morning, the service delivery team has started to take this information and dive into it to come up with what that will look like moving into this next year. And that's an exciting place to be. Findings identified in sections 1 through 4 of the standards of cover help to identify opportunities for improvement related to operations management, administration, and leadership. Where those first 2 items that you saw were continuations of last year, this is a new one this year. These next 2 are new ones. So in order to improve service, we need to take a look at how day-to-day operations and programs are managed and administered to ensure a clear understanding of roles and responsibilities that supports leadership development and succession planning, or making our people more prepared to move into these roles to make the decisions and understand how and why we do so. which is also one of the board's strategic plans items. Finally, we can't improve our service plan on our own. It requires coordination and buy-in from strategic partners, findings in the standards of cover, point to changes required outside organization, provide a framework for external engagement opportunities that build and strengthen relationships with our strategic partners. And I'm happy to say, as you are all aware, that's one of also the board's and fire chief priorities this year, and we're diving very, very deep into that as well. So Section 7 of the Standards of Cover offers a more detailed discussion of these continuous improvement initiatives, including highlights of successful efforts over the past year, and also identifying the projects moving into this next year. So what do we do to operationalize the Standards of Cover? Or how do we leverage these ongoing continuous improvement efforts to make meaningful changes? Both the findings and recommendations of the Standards of Cover, as well as areas for continuous improvement efforts, inform our annual planning process. Outputs of the annual planning process include policy recommendations, again, which you will be seeing here and asked to help us move forward tonight. A service delivery plan that I mentioned earlier, the group's diving into as of recently as of this morning, and continuous improvement projects, or how we're going to address those needs. And how does all of this fit into the bigger picture? And this is not a new slide for you. This should be a familiar slide. We've talked about it for a long time. We're starting over there on the left, the red. Our Standards of Cover policy outlines that on an annual basis, the board should consider updates to response standards and service level objectives in response to findings and recommendations of the SOC. The policy also dictates that a service delivery plan should be prepared on an annual basis based on the findings and recommendations of the SOC and developed through continuous improvement efforts. Capital and staffing needs associated with the recommended service delivery changes outlined in the annual service delivery plan are rolled into the annual staffing plan and capital improvement plan process. So a lot of words captured here on this picture about how we move from left to right each year. Finally, our ongoing efforts may identify continuous improvement projects that require non-capital budgetary support for implementation. These projects will be considered through the annual budget request process, almost all the way to the right next to the orange one there. That's where we'll capture those. It is through these processes and ongoing efforts that we continue to improve our service. And this study provides us a roadmap for improving operational efficiency, addressing those merging risks that we talked about, that population density increase and the call volume increasing, and ensuring that Metro Fire continues to deliver the right resource with the right capability at the right time. And I'm happy to say I'm going to turn it back over to Jake now to finish us out, but thank you.
Thank you, Chief Mitchell. This concludes our presentation. In accordance with the Standards of Cover policy and in response to the findings and recommendations of the 2024 Standards of Cover study, we now ask that this board consider adopting the proposed 2024 response standards, service level objectives, and response time objectives. Thank you for your time. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Really wonderful. We'll wait for the house lights to come up so our Zoom audience can see us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll open it up for conversation or questions of this esteemed group before we entertain a motion. Questions, comments? I have a couple. Go ahead.
Just excellent work. Great job.
Yeah,
Very thorough. Appreciate all the time you guys put into it.
I appreciate that, Ted. I would like to take us back 3 or 4 years ago, because I remember distinctly the group that touched this document and continues to do this work made mention of the fact that your goal was to establish a new standard nationally. I remember that very distinctly because I knew we had the crew to do it. And I really believe if you look at this, folks, look at this thing. This is some good reading, okay? Bedtime reading. It's really awesome. But I truly believe that we have now set a national standard, and I challenge any fire agency in the country to come look at this and see if they can beat us, because I don't think they can. It's incredible the data that you guys analyze, and now we're not making decisions based on guts and where we've been doing business in the past. It's based off data that will make our decisions even that stronger into the future, which ultimately will improve patient care and our arrival times and all the other things. I would also challenge this group to look at this document and put it in context with our financial documents that are award-winning for like 4,000 years running. And I think this one will join that same group if there's even a body that will understand this and can stamp its approval. And I'd just like to challenge us. We now have two significant parts of our organization, our standards of cover and our financial documents. We are this far away from challenging accreditation. I believe we would be one of the largest organizations that would be accredited at a national level. Having a little to know about accreditation, it is incredibly valuable for the public's optics of what we're all about, that we would take on that challenge. So with this work, financial work, and many other things that we're doing, I think we ought to at least entertain the idea of Sac Metro becoming an accredited fire department, because we have incredible people that need to be recognized in that level. And so I just can't thank you all enough for such a wonderful tool. It's just incredible. And I truly believe you've accomplished your goal as setting a national standard for a document that discusses standard covers. I would challenge any member of the community that wonders about what we're doing here the last week, and they really wonder what we were doing with that. I can't say it, but I certainly would ask you to think about coming in and looking at this document to truly understand the really fine ideas that this organization is coming up with, that is supported by the decisions that our community is making. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for this resolution.
I'll make that motion.
I got a first,
Second.
I got a second, a third, a fourth. I don't even know if we need to call the roll at this stage, but go ahead,
Yes,
Madam Clerk.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Weber.
Aye.
Director Sheets.
Aye.
President Gould,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Yes.
Director Costa.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Outstanding work, folks.
Thank you all.
Very good. We'll now move on to reports. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to save my comments for the end of this meeting. We'll now move on to the fire chief's report. Chief Bailey.
Good evening, directors, colleagues, and members of the public. Ty Bailey, Deputy Chief Support Services and Acting Fire Chief. Chief House couldn't be here this evening, but asked that I, on his behalf, thank Jennifer Sheets for her years of service and dedication and leadership on the Metro Fire Board. Since joining Metro Fire Board in 2016, Director Sheets has shown unwavering dedication to our community, providing exceptional leadership as board president and her roles on the Finance and Policy Committee. Jennifer's collaborative spirit and advocacy have built valuable partnerships that will benefit Metro Fire and the people we serve. On behalf of Metro Fire, we thank her deeply for her years of service and dedication. It is my pleasure to present you with a gift from Chief House. Just one second. House, he made this for you as a gift for your dedication and service to Metro Fire. It has a little.
Is that a flag? Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Go up front, get a picture.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Derek. Other duties as a sign. Collect the swag.
Beautiful.
Yeah, isn't it though? That's super
That
nice.
is the end of the Chief's report.
Okay, thank you, Chief Bailey. I appreciate that very much. Let's now move on to, I have no report from administrative, but we do have an ops report. Chief Mitchell.
Yes, thank you, President Gould again. Board members, colleagues, members of the public. I'm going to turn it over quickly to Chief Keeley. And we talked about the standards of cover and one of those areas for focus and the continuous improvement being data management integration. I'm happy to bring Chief Keeley here tonight to talk a little bit about something we've been doing and will continue to do and make better. This is a culmination over the last number of years where we recognize the old pen and paper and the command vehicle is not the best way to do business. It's talking about situational awareness, accountability, and just general command and control. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Keeley to talk about one of those data management tools that we're using so that you can see what's going on out there and some of the cool stuff we're doing. So Chief Keeley.
Thank you, Chief Mitchell. President Gould, members of the board, friends and colleagues present and virtual. My name is Kylie Keeley. I'm the Assistant Chief in charge of B Shift Commander. I'm going to present platform that we've been using for the past couple of years called Tablet Command. It's a it's technology that we're using in the command post to maintain accountability and the overall plan, which at times can become extremely complex based on the incident that we're given. This is a regional tool that we use. So all 4 partners in our region share this common operating picture. And it provides us with real-time accountability and a plan, an ability to maintain that working plan for these complex incidents. But as a general overview, I just want to give you what we look at on an ongoing basis in the command, or on a minute by minute. You're going to see the current scroll of calls that are active in the comm center right now. So every one of these incidents is an ongoing active incident. The newer incidents get placed at the top. So the resources are color coded based on their status in CAD. We also have access to our map, which if we zoom out, this shows the entire system. And I know it looks really confusing, but on an overview from my level, when I'm looking at really busy days, when we have maybe a multi-alarm fire or a wind event or something else that's dragging down a lot of our resources, I can zoom in on a particular battalion, and by the color coding of the resources, I can see if a battalion has been drawn down and where we need to start moving up resources for coverage. I can also look at status by, if I look for medics, based on the issues that we're dealing with on a given moment, I can look at the Sacramento medics and the Sac Metro ambulances. And just by color coding, I can scroll through to see green is what we're looking for. Green is good. Any other color, it means that a resource is dedicated to an incident. So if it's blue or red or yellow, it means it's on scene or dedicated and unavailable to respond. So that's when EMS 24 would become involved with looking at AMR or other agencies to put in surge resources to provide transport for our issues that we're going to be dealing with, our incidents. So what I want to do is do an overview of an incident. So I'm going to launch a simulation. And this is a Walmart, and it's in 25's first in. So all the training incidents show up with a blue background. So everybody in the system knows that this is a training incident. It's not a real thing that's going on. So I'll tap on that, and if at the bottom right, you can see that if I want to manage the incident. Only one person can manage the incident at a time, which is good because you don't want people messing with resources. We've built templates based on the location and structure type that we're going to. So single story, multi-story, high rises, and basically with a big box, we want to use something with divisions. So we want to be able to be prepared to geographically break this down into smaller parts to maintain that span of control within the command post, so we can stay ahead of the incident for the what if potentials. I'm also gonna, if this was a working fire, it would be a multi-alarm call. So you're gonna see another alarm pop up at the bottom. So if I'm just gonna roll through creating some resources in divisions, and at the end, I'll kind of sum it up and show you why I did all of this. So if we had resources going in the Alpha side for rescue and for evacuations and fire attack, and then we've got an access on the Bravo side for more access, and maybe that was the location where the garden center was and the fire's located over there, and we need to address fire attack and search on that side as well. And then the battalion chiefs arrive and establish command in conjunction with the assistant chief. And now I want to be able to put later arriving battalion chiefs in charge of those divisions, because the BCs carry multiple radios, and they also are prepared to maintain that span of control with multiple resources and maintain that good accountability. So I'm just going to make that person the supervisor, and you'll see that they show up at the top of the list with a yellow bar. If I was to institute a communication plan, I can note that right at the top under Division A, where they're going to be on Alpha 6 and Division Bravo is going to be on Alpha 7. So if I want to break that up, other resources can see this, and our incoming resources, if you have Tablet Command Mobile, they can see all of this as well. Incoming BCs can see that if they're gonna be going to Division Bravo, they're gonna know that roll over to a different TAC channel. So as we build this out some more, we'll put a truck or two on the roof, and there our roof division. And let's say that we had Battalion 7 says Engine 27 is coming out of the Alpha side with a couple of victims. I can tap on that, I can hit add note, and I can do a voice recording. So it'll just record my voice. So let's say that Engine 26 has, I'm going to put Battalion 3 over in charge of Division Bravo. And Engine 20 and Battalion 3 reports that they have knockdown in Division Bravo. Battalion 3 reports knockdown. So why do we do all of this stuff? So let's say that the unimaginable happens. Well, it's not unimaginable. It happens all the time, right? If we had a collapse and we had a crew that was missing, one of the important features of this that is in accordance with ICS 910 is a requirement for the incident commander to know the names of every person that's working on scene. So if Engine 28 became lost in the incident, and I can click on that resource and I can see the names of the people that are assigned to that engine. So we know not only that we're looking for Engine 28 crew, we're looking for those 3 members. Also in the command post, as on scene, it becomes very stressful when there is a mayday. We've created checklists to help the incident commander follow the checklist. Now we're really good at the start, like everybody shut up on the radio. We're going to maintain accountability, get in touch with the person that's transmitting the mayday, and have them give you that critical information of where they are, what their air status is, if they're injured. And then, so we can click these things down as we get the new can, we check their air status. We still want to be able to put the fire out. So Division Bravo still has to do that as we're going to rescue the crew, as we're going to launch Rick. We're going to notify dispatch. We're going to call additional alarms. And once it's all done and we rescue our firefighters out of the mayday, we're gonna conduct a PAR with resources that were inside, and we're gonna clear the mayday. And we're gonna say we can go back to regular radio traffic. We're gonna change strategy maybe, but we're gonna make sure that all of our members are accounted for. So why do I do all of this? At the very end of a complex incident, we know exactly where all of our people are, assigned or unassigned. We know who's in charge of the incident. And when we go to do our records management at the end of the incident back at the firehouse, we can click on the activity, and everything that I did is timestamped in real time. So the time of the call was 1833. All of these divisions and groups were established. And then you'll see where I added the note at 1835. And then we had a mayday at 1836 or 1837, and we cleared it at 1837. So and I can email that to myself as well. So I bring up my email, I send it to myself, and I can do that back at the comforts of the office without having to go to my steno pad that might have gotten wet in the rain, or my dry erase board that somebody leaned on and erased Division Alpha and Bravo for me. Those are all real things that have happened, and it's a challenge to be in the command post. So this is just becoming more and more integrated. I know that the 2 things that firefighters hate the most are change and the way things are, and we're representing change with this. It takes consistency, it takes training, it takes that familiarization, and it takes getting out of your comfort zone to break this thing out, to run training simulations for yourself and for your crews. This is in every single one of the chief officers' buggies in the entire region, and it's also in a lot of in a lot of our engines and trucks and ambulances, because this is, as the end result, this is going to become our MDC. It represents a significant cost savings to every district, because there's just one of these and a fan and a cooling fan case to keep it cool, because we do struggle with some heat in Sacramento, as you're aware. That's still a challenge with the iPads, but An iPad and a case costs a little less than $3,000. And they're not required in any of the reserve apparatus that sits out at Fleet while they're getting repaired. So you just take your iPad, which is your MDC, out of your regular rig and then put it into the next one, which has a $400 charging connection dock. So I'm really excited about this, being able to help bring this to our district and to the region. I've been able to work with some really quality people that represent Cosumnes, Folsom, and Sac City. And Chief Mitchell has been nothing but supportive, and I look forward to continuing to integrate this into our everyday practice. And if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer some.
Okay, folks, any questions? Go ahead. Go ahead, Cindy. Go.
So you're saying that everyone in the region has these in their battalion chiefs' cars?
Yes.
Okay, so let's touch on truck 17. And does it bring up their personnel? So their telestaff is, yes, it does. Look at that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a really critical addition to our incident commanders, because obviously we have boundary drops, and in Battalion 7, Battalion 5, especially Battalion 9, we'll get Sac City resources, Cosumnes resources, Battalion 13 gets Folsom. And if anybody needed anything, if we needed to locate a person, we know what resource they're assigned to. And this program looks at telestaff about every 2 seconds. So it's always accurate as long as telestaff is accurate.
Great. This is awesome, because this puts the whiteboard at the back of the BC's vehicle to shame. I mean.
It really does.
So I love this. This is great. Thank you very much. I love this.
Go ahead.
Chief Keeley, thanks for this. You mentioned the three closest jurisdictions we work with, but we also do occasionally get out with West Sac, with Roseville, South Placer, El Dorado. Any chance that they'll be coming on to this anytime in the future?
Absolutely. So you see that highlighted kind of tan bar, that is a West Sac incident. We have integrated through Tablet Command, we've integrated 2 comm centers. So now we have the feed for West Sac's incidents and they have ours. That's important because for move-ups, when Sac City moves up to West Sac and vice versa, they can see the active calls in their first ends. Now, all it is just an add-on. If we as a region decide to look at El Dorado, like Camino, we can get Camino's feed. So we'll see El Dorado Hills and all of Amador County, El Dorado County. Placer County is the same thing. It's a little bit more difficult because there's a lot more smaller comm centers. But Roseville, West Sac, El Dorado, and even more importantly, CAL FIRE. Like they're using in different units, they're using Tablet Command. So on these statewide incidents, we're able to see resources based on if they're in Tablet Command or not. We can see if we're told to go tie in with an engine company, we can look up on our map and we can find them. Like when I pulled this up, you could see some of the resources down at the mountain fire.
That's a lot.
So 7150 is down there. We also have, I mean, I can go on, and I don't want to belabor this one tonight. I do want to go in a much deeper dive into this to give you a much more information based on what its capabilities are, because there is so much more. I know I talked fast. I hope I didn't confuse anybody, but there's a ton more, and it looks at our helicopters' capabilities and how they can add on with this, the UAV, our dozer, our boats. So there's a lot of special operations that can be integrated into this as well. Yes.
So if the helicopter takes a picture, they can put it into this thing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Love it. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
And they can also draw, when the helicopter arrives on scene, they put a notation where the heel of the fire is, and they draw a perimeter of the current fire, and they take some pictures. So incoming resources can see flame length, fire behavior, smoke, volume, velocity, density. They can see the values at risk in real time.
Any other questions? I just have one, Chief. when do you see the opportunity for us to incorporate our brothers and sisters in law enforcement? We work so closely with them in really critical opportunities to help serve our men and women to be safe. When do you suspect, or is that something that's on the horizon for the integration of all public safety entities that are in this space?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a friend who's a sergeant with Sac Sheriffs, and we have spoken particularly about this program and having their incident commanders, their lieutenants and captains having this so that we can see where their command post is.
Yeah.
They're pretty secretive about their locations, so we have to overcome some of that, but they're very interested in this platform as well.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, chiefs. We appreciate it. Chief Mitchell, anything more on ops? Okay, thank you very much. I have it on good account that we don't have an administrative or support services reports, correct, Chief Bailey?
I do not have a report, but however, I do want to read a thank you letter to Director Sheets.
A thank you letter for Director Sheets. Wait a minute, can we wait to embarrass her until the very end when we're doing the?
Perfect.
Excellent, that's
Thank you.
great. Let's move on to our local firefighters, Local 522 report. Captain Scholar.
Good evening, everyone. Sean Schollard, Vice President, Local 522. Here this night, I'd like to start off by thanking Director Sheets for your amazing service to the district, to the membership. Trevor Jameson wants me to extend his congratulations to you and thank you for the relationships that you guys have able to establish over the years. He's very sorry that he couldn't be here, but he made sure that I was going to let you know that he wishes he was. So Director Sheets and I met, I was doing the math probably over 15 years ago when I was doing my paramedic internship, my clinicals actually in Soda Roseville. And so little did I know back then that we would be at the points that both of us are now. And I really appreciate all the time that you and I got to spend together, your candid conversations at Pause Coffee. I'm hoping that maybe Sean is interested in meeting there for coffee so we can continue that trend. But the membership's super grateful for everything that you've done. We appreciate what Derek has done for us as well, and allowing us to have your commitment to the membership. We know how big of an ask that was, and so thank you to Derek and to your daughters for sharing you with us. I mean, that there's no other way of saying it, but it's a huge commitment. You took it extremely serious, and you'll be greatly missed. So you did tell me earlier this evening that we'll stay in touch, so I'm going to hold you to that. So thank you very, very much. I wanted to talk about Measure O. It's a big deal. I think things are looking great for us. I think we've said that we can start maybe celebrating a little bit. We're probably not going to pop a ton of champagne right now and celebrate, but the numbers are looking great. There's a lot of thank yous that go along with that. I want to thank the board. I want to thank Metro Fire for having the awareness to create a sustainable future for Metro Fire, for the membership, more importantly for the community, to provide an opportunity for us to continue to deliver the service that everybody loves doing. So thank you to all of you. Thank you to Matt Cole, as he has his head down and told me not to say anything, but I'd be remiss if I didn't. It was a extremely challenging task to do, and the best way to get something to fail is to give it to somebody that's too busy to do it. And Matt was in a position, whether he wanted to be or not, to be able to spearhead the efforts on Measure O. And I can't think of anybody else that could have done a better job than Matt. I know he'll say it was a team effort, and I don't disagree with that at all. It took an extreme lift from everybody, but he's always been somebody that's been able to step up and be a leader and take on a task and see it through to the finish line. And so thank you, Matt, for all of your efforts in Measure O. Thank you for putting the team together. The other members that were involved, Scott Owen, Cody Powers, Brett Randall, Mike Gildone, everybody, the entire membership for stepping up and doing what what we asked for, you know? Typically, the members are coming to the union asking for help, and this time it was the union going to the membership asking for help, and they did respond. They responded very, very well, and all of them stepped up to the plate to see this thing through. And so we're going to keep our fingers crossed as the next ballots drop on Friday that the numbers trend in the direction that we're hoping. But more importantly, thank you to the community, to the hundreds of thousands of people that tune in on these Thursday evenings to watch our reports and stuff. But thank you to all of them, because really they're the ones that make it successful. I think they've looked at this as an opportunity to reflect back at the service that Metro Fire provides and the members that provide that service to them. And they're happy. They see it, and the polls are showing that right now. So thank you to the community. Thank you to Director Pete Votava for his efforts. We had a lot of political action taking place over the last 3-4 months. And we did very well on a lot of the efforts that we put forward, including our very own Ted Wood. I know he probably doesn't want to count, pop too much champagne right now, but we think that's trending in the right direction. And Pete Votava stepped up to the plate as all the other stuff was transpiring throughout the organization. Pete was in constant contact with Director Wood, and I'm very, very happy for that. So congratulations to you. If it's too soon, I don't think that it is, though. So congratulations, and we appreciate your commitment to the board and the relationships that we have and the ones that we'll continue to have throughout your time here. So thank you very much for that. Thank you to all of our political partners out there, the ones that really help us out in these times. You know, we do cherish those relationships, and a lot of these efforts wouldn't happen without those relationships that Local 522 has established. And so I want to thank all of them, all the people that we endorsed that got elected, the people that stood in our corner, even in times when we didn't stand in theirs. So I think that really sheds a light on where we're at politically in the region. I want to thank our partners. As I've said before, we're an amalgamated union, and it wasn't just Metro Fire's vote to put forth the effort of Local 522 on Measure O. It took a collaborative effort from all of our organizations that we represent within 522. So thank you to all of them for trusting in us that we could get this thing done, and for trusting and believing that Matt could see this through to the finish line. So other than that, I will say that we do have a ton of work ahead of us. We have a lot of planning. We have a lot of future to plan. And I know we've talked and spitballed about the idea of like a government affairs committee. I think it's a good thing that we should establish, that the board should seriously consider doing. We look at all the effort that we've put into workers' comp, and we look at the work that labor's done on the work comp side of the shop, and what administration and Metro has done on work comp. And we really didn't have anybody that was putting both those efforts together to strategize a plan of what next looked like. And so I think we're in that situation right now. We've had a lot of effort from the local. We've had a lot of effort from Metro. Coming up with a government affairs committee, of course, at your recommendation, I think is something that would set us up in the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate those words. We'll move on to committee and delegate reports. I have a report from the executive committee. We'll move on to Com Center JPA, Acting Chief Bailey. Any comments?
Yes, thank you, board. The Communications Center JPA met on November 12th, 2024, and our next meeting is on December 10th, 2024. I have nothing to report out from our meeting on the 12th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who's going to stand in for Director Jones on the finance and audit? Anybody?
I will.
Go ahead, sir.
We have not had a recent meeting, and our next meeting is January 23rd.
Appreciate that, Bob. We'll move on to Policy Committee, Director Costa.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Policy Committee met this evening. We had 2 policies. The first is around district vehicle use. So this was an administrative policy. It was revised to further clarify and set parameters around take-home vehicles. And so for clarity, it's already been practiced but codified in the policy that an employee can take home a vehicle if they live within less than 50 miles from headquarters. So that was administrative policy, so it won't be coming to the board. The second was a board policy, family medical leave. So this was updated to take into consideration recent changes to sick leave policy and a legislative update around reproductive loss events. So that policy was moved forward to the board for action. And our next meeting is December 12th.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate that. All right, now, probably the most important thing we'll do all night is we're going to take action item number 2. Action item number 2 is a recommendation to adopt Resolution Committee Director Jennifer Sheets for her 8 years of service to the board. I have both Chief Bailey and our board clerk as managing that, and then we'll have an opportunity, once they're done speaking, open it up to my colleagues and continue said roast.
I will read the resolution commending Jennifer Sheets into the record, and then we will need a motion and second to adopt
Thank
that.
you very much.
Whereas the Board of Directors of the Sac Metropolitan Fire District wish to acknowledge that Jennifer Sheets has served as a director of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District with distinction. Whereas Director Sheets began her service as an elected board member in December 2016 and faithfully served the Metro Fire District with sound judgment, professionalism, and integrity throughout her tenure for 8 years. Director Sheets served the Board of Directors with the highest degree of leadership as board president in 2020, whereas Director Sheets contributed significantly to the district by serving on the Finance and Audit Committee in 2017, serving on the Executive Committee as Vice President in 2019, and as Secretary in 2018, and currently now in 2024. She has also served as an alternate on the Policy Committee since 2019. Whereas Director Sheets proudly represented the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District at the Cap to Cap program in Washington, D.C. in 2018 and 2024. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District and its Board of Directors hereby commends Jennifer Sheets for her unwavering dedication, steadfast commitment to the district's goals and objectives, and exceptional service to the fire service and the citizens which it serves, and wishes to thank her for a job well done. Be it further resolved that this foregoing resolution, 2024-130, was passed and adopted on November 14th, 2024 by the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District Board of Directors. Thank you. So let's need a motion and second on that.
Okay, we've got a first,
I'll make a second, please.
a second.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Weber,
Aye.
President Gould,
Aye.
Director Wood,
Aye.
Director Costa,
Aye.
and Director Sheets. Thank you. Motion passes. The resolution is adopted.
All right, Chief Bailey, thank you very much for that. Chief Bailey, I see your name, but I think you may have already done what you were challenged to do with the fencing material and you did
Yes,
that.
yes.
There's no more, you've got play a role here because we want to get ready to,
No, if you want me to, I'd like to read a letter. Thank you.
oh, I'd love for you to read that
Thank you.
letter, sure.
Good evening, directors, colleagues, and members of the public. Ty Bailey, Deputy Chief Support Services and Acting Fire Chief. I'm honored to be here this evening, sitting in for Chief House. This truly brings it full circle for me. More than 8 years ago, when I was the Vice President of Local 522, we unanimously supported Director Sheets for her board seat. I recall the meeting we had in Fair Oaks at the Fair Oaks House in Delhi. We had a very in-depth conversation about your experience in the medical field, your family obligations, and the work that the members of Local 522 and your constituents needed. You never hesitated and had been in all throughout your tenure representing our district. Your leadership has not only guided us, but also inspired us to strive for excellence. Your strong, uncompromising support has been a beacon of inspiration, and I want to express my gratitude for you doing that for us. Your leadership has made a significant impact on our work, motivating us to improve and achieve more. Lastly, I'd like to thank your family. I'd like to thank Derek and your daughters. You allowed us this fantastic opportunity to work with Director Sheets over the years. We understand the sacrifices you made to support her in her role, and we're grateful for that. So thank you. We look forward to the future with great anticipation, knowing that our collaboration will continue with positive change. Thank you, Director Sheets.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Now it's our turn. Appreciate that very much. Director Costa, let's start with you and make it good.
Make it good. Okay. Well, it's been a short period of time that I've gotten to know you, but I will say that my first meeting here, you were the first member to introduce yourself with a very big smile and very strong handshake. Welcoming you to the board. And you've been very patient, very supportive. I've been in awe with your leadership. I mean, really the way in which you engage on the issues, you listen, you ask great questions, and you lead by example. You've set the bar very high. So thank you for everything you've done and everything you continue to do.
Okay. Cindy, you're up.
Jennifer, you've always been very professional, and you've taught me how to be a good board member, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Bob, your turn.
Well, like Director Costa, I've just had a couple of short years with you. I have been very, very impressed in some of our private conversations in another room. Again, very, very intelligent. You always ask the right questions, sometimes the tough questions, but I've learned a great deal from you in the short time, 2 years that I've known you. And I just thank you very much for your support and your service to community and to show us new folks what this job's about. So thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Director Weber. Appreciate it. Ted, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can't believe it's been 8 years since we sat down at Boudin before you came on and had lunch. So it just went by way too fast. But like has been said, I can get a little emotional at times during our discussions. No matter what the subject is or the temperature of the room, you have always been calm, cool, collected, and you keep all of us lower than we otherwise might go because of your steady hand. You and I haven't always agreed on a few things, but every time we haven't agreed, you've been able to speak very calmly, very dispassionately. And most of those times, I always come to the understanding that I was wrong. And I can admit that. I will admit that.
Really good.
But no, I appreciate I appreciate your ability to engage in those conversations honestly and just maintain that integrity that you have that allows us to have those conversations. It's something, it's a rare skill. I would love to get it one day, but I don't know that I ever will. So I appreciate everything you've done, and you will be sorely missed.
Yeah, I can't tell you how long I've looked forward to this moment. When I was made aware that Jennifer wasn't going to run again, I've seen a lot of people come and go at this dais. If you've ever visited the Grand Canyon, you know how large the hole is that we're going to have in this board when Jennifer doesn't come next time we meet. And I want to make sure you understand why she's leaving tonight. I think it's a good insight into the quality human being that sits to my right. You know, normally when they would go off the board, it happens in our last meeting at the end of the year, right? But Jennifer's made, again, a decision that shows her character as she takes care of her family in an equally important event in that family's life. And that is so genuine to who you are, that, you know, you make family first. And that's so important in this business that we look at that. I want to speak to the citizens, frankly, because she's been roasted enough and I don't want to get carried away. But the citizens need to understand the quality of the human being that is set at this dais for 8 years. Some of it has not been too enjoyable. Jennifer has been dragged through the mud publicly for decisions that she knew would be in the best interest of this organization. She's received hate mail and haters like you couldn't believe, and she keeps it all private. And I totally agree with Bob's comment that it is amazing to watch her intelligence when we remove ourselves into closed session. She gets to speak her mind. It's always brilliant. It's always a perspective that few of us enjoy. And that is so refreshing. And to say it'll be missed it's just simply not enough. This organization will take a dip for quite a while we work to do exactly as Ted said, try to get to her level. And we can only hope that through her husband, there will continue to be an opportunity for you to show your face here and you'll always be welcomed. One of the challenges that she will remain and continue to have is that she's a Giants fan. And there's no pill for that, right? There's no way to overcome that. But we truly have been blessed. And I personally, in the conversations we've had, I've enjoyed our friendship, just as I have enjoyed our professional relationship. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we have adopted a resolution, just so you know, we'll sign that and get that to her in a really fancy, nice, beautiful thing that she can hang in her home. And I just want to finish before I adjourn. Godspeed to you. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned. Oh. All right, apparently she wants to talk.
Okay.
Comment.
We're unadjourned. Keep it on the record.
Still recording. We're still.
Perfect. Okay, I'll get through this. Good evening, everyone. As I prepared for my final board meeting tonight, I wanted to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to my family, some who are online and some in attendance tonight, and to my amazing husband for their unwavering support over the past 8 years. It has truly been an honor to serve this board and our community. The experience and knowledge I've gained during my tenure have been invaluable, though not without their challenges. I've had the privilege of working alongside 3 fire chiefs, 2 board clerks, 3 union presidents, and 5 union vice presidents, some relationships more collegial than others. Serving as board president during the pandemic, especially when mask wearing became politically charged, required a careful balance of leadership, empathy, and clear communication. It was a time when decisions that seemed straightforward from a public health standpoint became highly controversial and divisive. Public health guidelines from trusted organizations like the CDC and the World Health Organization became more than just recommendations. They served as a foundation for decisions, regardless of political leanings. Through it all, I've had the opportunity to listen to frontline staff about their concerns regarding the fire safe service, safety to our members, and the future direction of this organization. I've worked hard to provide factual information and counter misinformation whenever it arose. I've been involved in numerous contract negotiations and reviewed tentative agreements presented to our members. I've also faced personal challenges, including being named in a lawsuit for simply expressing my views on the level of service I believe our community deserves. At times, views that were misrepresented and misinterpreted, attributed by actions and decisions made by others within this organization that I was not involved in. At times, both my commitment to this organization and my family's integrity were questioned. Hearing those untrue and unfounded accusations was difficult, yet I remained steadfast in my dedication to this role. It was equally difficult to witness the toll this experience took on my husband, a dedicated and quiet professional who loves this organization as much as I do and stood by me through it all, even as it put strain on our relationship during some very difficult times. But despite these challenges, I am grateful for the friendships I've forged, relationships that I know will last a lifetime. And I look forward to sharing my journey with future generations, including our grandchildren, as I reflect as my time as a public servant and the privilege of serving my community. I've had the chance to meet with my successor, Sean, and I'm confident that he will bring the same level of commitment and expertise to this board that we've all worked so hard to build. Thank you all for this incredible experience and for allowing me the honor of serving alongside such dedicated individuals. That's all.
Directors, let's go down in the front and get a picture, please. Santiago will come off the record. Thank you.